Just call a spade a spade. Microsoft is a third-party publisher. This device is an Xbox is just cope. Dande 19890. I know you don't like Xbox. I know we've all basically seen your comments in the last few months on the channel, and everything Xbox does, there's a lot of detraction to it. The question though is there anything wrong in being a third-party publisher? Because that was the initial question that I asked in the other video, where somebody came and actually made some similar sentiments. And so I want to know from those who prefer PlayStation if they think that being a third-party publisher is bad. If they would answer me, right, and tell me exactly what it is that they think about it, I would probably get some clarity. Now, Dante, as for you, I'd love to hear your answer, but I'm going to share the answer that the other user, the other comment audience member, actually shared with me. You know what they said? They said there's nothing wrong in being a third-party publisher. In fact, their claim, right? Their claim is that the only thing it does is that it devalues the brand, of which I showed you even PlayStation fanboys back in the days when Horizon Zero Dawn was announced that it was going to be going to the PC, make a similar claim and then get smoked by their own fellow PlayStation fans, telling them that the value of a game has nothing to do with the fact that only a few people can play it. I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you watched those videos, or maybe you didn't see that video, but we'll do a refresh and we'll do a rehash just to ensure that, you didn't miss it. Because again, your opinion is kind of unique in the sense that it dwells in a bubble, right? And so let's go through it again. So if you watch that other video, which is right here, which shows the tweet that shows where people are actually having this conversation, you'll see that this particular Guerrilla developer, Sam Sharma, is getting dragged by a Joe Santos about him not understanding that a company has built its reputation on exclusives and that the exclusivity being lost reduces the console brand. That is what a PlayStation fanboy said 5 years ago. And not only did he say that, there were also a number of other PlayStation fanboys who said that and who made a similar claim. In fact, it is noted and it is documented that Herman Holst, in his March 10th, 2020 PlayStation blog interview, was trying to put minds at ease. You see, this is the beauty of this whole thing. If you actually go and look at the conversation, right, you'll realize that it's either, and I'm not trying to call anybody any name, it's either you are being somewhat disingenuous, trying to paint third-party publishing, right, as a bad thing because it's Xbox, or it's a bad thing. Or, regardless of what you try to paint, it's actually not a bad thing, and it doesn't devalue the brand, as was actually said in those claims. And a lot of people basically came out and corrected that person and said, hey, by the way, all of this talk about you doing this and doing that and doing this and doing that is not really a big deal. So in November of 2015, I had the opportunity to choose which console I wanted to buy at the time. I bought an Xbox. Then I canceled the order and I was like, yeah, I want to play the Uncharted games because there were 3 games and PlayStation I'd known for a long time. It's not a problem. I bought it because I could access those games, but the next year I was basically on a PC gaming at the time. And it was actually a lot of fun. The Division came out 2016 and I wanted to play the game on PC because it had better performance and so on and so forth. So I moved back to PC, a platform that I'd played on when I was a young boy before I even, played on any console. It was handhelds, then some, generic family computer type console and so on and so forth. But here's that interview. Dante, I want to go ahead and kind of refresh our memory because this PlayStation blog, question said PlayStation is no stranger to publishing titles on PC. So already they established that PlayStation is already a third-party publisher and they've been doing some work there on PC at the time. This was 2020. Nothing much had really, taken root, right? So you said, though, that PlayStation is, Microsoft is a third-party publisher. Let's just call a spade, right? So here we are. I'm basically calling spades. I have no problem with them being a third-party publisher. I've always wanted for them to be a third-party publisher because I've been curious to see how PlayStation players would interact with Xbox games when they went to their platform. I was very curious about it because I'm somebody who loves to see these outcomes. And from what I'm seeing, they be loving it, right? So let's get back into that blog and let's see what's going on here. So it says, but Horizon Zero Dawn, according to this PlayStation blog question, is one of the largest games to make that leap. Is there anything you would say to PlayStation fans? What does it mean for the future? They were reacting to the PlayStation fans that were not comfortable with this shift and this change, which is something that I just showed you in this particular video, right? That's one person that was actually saying stuff like that. You got to also remember that when Phil Spencer was moving Quantum Break to PC, that's where the crap gamer's reputation was basically shattered into pieces, because he was also basically making a similar case that, oh, why do PC players get to play the game, blah, 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 right? Because deep down underneath, if I can find out what you actually mean by saying, you know, that that Microsoft is a third-party publisher, I want to know, like, okay, what's wrong with them actually having games, you know? What's wrong with them having games available to other people? Because the answer is there's nothing, right? There's nothing. So Herman Ho says, sure, I think it's important that we stay open to new ideas of how to introduce more people to PlayStation and show people maybe what they've been missing out on. Now, you have to understand that this was not like some video interview where he said something. This is a carefully curated response. This is what PlayStation executives do. They mostly almost never get out in the wild to say anything to anybody. Then he said, and to maybe put a few minds at ease, releasing one first-party AAA title to PC doesn't necessarily mean that every game now will come to PC. Bruh. Oh boy, was he wrong. Well, I mean, at the time, you know, I don't think they had any plans. I think they were enjoying dominance then because that was the, you know, entry. It was basically the flip into the new generation coming up, right? In my mind, Horizon Zero Dawn was just a great fit in this particular instance. We don't have plans for day-and-date release, PC releases, and we remain 100% committed to dedicated hardware. Well, a lot of that has changed. Marathon is coming to the PC platform, and it's coming to the Xbox platform. If not, it has no chance of survival. In fact, right now, it's kind of bleak, but I'm going to leave the conclusion to those who play those games. So again, what is wrong in being a third-party publisher? I don't see any problem with it. I enjoy the fact that PlayStation makes its games available to PC gamers. I enjoy the fact that PlayStation makes some of its games available to Xbox players. Oh, you didn't know that? They do. In fact, they made it available so beautifully for the longest time that now that they haven't made it available on Game Pass, the game that is 1 month old is already on sale for a month. That's crazy, bro. I mean, I don't know if this is normal with MLB The Show, but that's wild, okay? That is okay. I enjoy the fact that they make some of their games available to Nintendo users, like Lego Horizon Adventures and MLB The Show. I enjoy the fact that they also are trying to stay competitive and look for money. I just feel like they're deficient and not tapping into the fact that they are also a third-party publisher. That's my biggest criticism for PlayStation, because what they're doing is they're letting Xbox just run wild with the exact opposite and the antithesis of the gaming industry's so-called expectations. So, Dante 19890. What is wrong? What is wrong with being a third-party publisher? Can you please list the demerits or list the disadvantages? I'm all ears. I'd love to hear what people actually think. And the whole "this is an Xbox" campaign, how is that cope? I guess, is that a different video? Because from what I'm seeing, it appears to me that it's quite an effective campaign, not only in word, but in action. Not just in action, but in reciprocal reaction. Oh my gosh. Think about this. They looked at PlayStation and they were like, okay, let's get games in there. They were confident enough to do exactly what this Sam Sharma, this PlayStation producer at Gorilla, which said the company built success by hard work and talent, owned by Sony, so being exclusive was simply a fact. They're able to release, and I changed this whole statement and I put Xbox in there and PlayStation in the place of PC. They're able to release on, in this case, not PC. PlayStation shows how much belief they have on their game and their ability to execute on a platform they haven't shipped on in years. So What are we seeing here with the Xbox shipping on PlayStation? The reaction is quite surprising. Anywhere you look, you see these games basically having a welcome response from gamers. Indiana Jones stayed on the top list before it moved out, right? Forza Horizon 5 has now come on the list. Doom the Dark Ages has now jumped up front. Remember, I was telling you that that's coming, right? This is usually normal for, games that are coming out, but Doom the Dark Ages has basically surpassed Forza Horizon 5 in its deluxe edition, which should be coming out before it. So that already is signaling some good signs. Then Age of Empires and Age of Mythology are coming as well. The Tony Hawk's game is coming as well, and also Lost Soul, aside from the PlayStation side, is going to PC day and date. So what is wrong with being a third-party publisher? Nothing. I think what this does is this probably basically diffuses the so-called console war TNTs that you guys love to light. And it's maybe a little jarring, but hey, abandon this console war nonsense. Enjoy the flood, okay? That's basically what Xbox is going to do to PlayStation. They're going to barrage them so much, they're not going to look recognizable anymore with Spider-Man God of War TLOU Part 2, remastered, remastered. They're going to have to actually put up games now, which is going to be interesting because you're going to see that Xbox's own lineup make some really, really interesting, capacities at the end of the day. I'll make a video about that coming soon. Thanks for watching the video. Talk to me in the comment section. Appreciate you guys' time and audience, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.